First up, we are going to be talking to Nigel Farage, leader of the Brexit Party. We are going to be talking to representatives of all of the major parties ahead of those European elections. But, of course, with the Brexit Party now in the latest poll showing 34%, despite only being in existence a matter of weeks. I suppose the very first person to talk to you about all of these things is Nigel Farage, leader of that party. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning, Julia.
Good morning. Now, let's just look ahead to, May the 26th is the day. With a Sunday evening, we're going to get the results of those European elections. So the Brexit Party wins the European elections, as the polls are suggesting. What then?
I think the first thing is that then leaving with a clean Brexit, or what's known as a no-deal Brexit, is firmly put back on the table, because that's clearly what the British public will have voted for. I think, secondly, the chances of us being forced into a second referendum probably diminishes somewhat. And what I'm asking for, in fact, what I'm demanding, is if the Brexit Party comes out on top in a couple of weeks' time, then we must have a place at the negotiating table with the government to help put together our strategy. You know, we are now due to leave on the 31st of October. If millions of people have voted for us, we need to have a say.
Well, you could demand whatever you want. The reality is there'll still be a Conservative government in place. There'll still be 75% Remain supporting MPs in the House of Commons. Winning the European elections is all very well, but it's not going to actually deliver Brexit, is it?
Well, that's up to them. If they want to ignore, another Democratic vote, that's their choice. I suspect if the Conservatives choose to do that, they'll become even more unpopular than they currently are. Basically, a big message will be sent to Westminster. Wake up and smell the coffee. The country wants the Democratic vote that we had to be honoured. And if you choose not to listen to that message, then we will take you on in the Peterborough by-election and the next general election. And as Anne Widdecombe said the other week, either we leave or you leave.
And yet the reality is we've still got a Prime Minister who is saying that she simply won't go until she gets her withdrawal agreement through. No one seems to think she can get it through. If a new leader does arrive on the scene, but we don't necessarily see a general election, you don't have a formal role. You still don't have any MPs until there's a general election. Doesn't have to be one until 2022. Which potential Tory leaders could you work with? Realistically, you can't work with Theresa May, can you? Can you work with a Remainer like Jeremy Hunt, the current Foreign Secretary? Can you work with Philip Hammond, the Chancellor?
I think the Conservatives' problem are actually deeper than just who the leader is. I'm not sure that a new leader necessarily turns the Conservative Party round, because it'll still be the same group of MPs. It'll still be Philip Hammond as Chancellor. So I would have thought that for the Conservatives to be a realistic option that would deliver us a clean break Brexit, they're going to have quite big change, I think.
OK, so they need to elect someone who is committed to a no-deal Brexit as a leader.
Well, that's right. Absolutely. And I think if they did that, a leader that's committed to a clean break Brexit, a leader who gets rid of the Hammonds and all the Remainers in the cabinet, a leader that makes a decisive choice, may have some internal party problems, but I suspect in the country they'd start to pick up some serious support. OK,
so let's just say some of those people gets elected. Maybe Boris Johnson, maybe Dominic Raab, many of the others who are standing. They still will have a majority of Remain supporting MPs in the House of Commons. At what point then, the only way they can actually deliver the Brexit you're asking for is if there's a general election, at which point you've got the Brexit Party taking votes from the Conservative Party, preventing a Conservative leader offering a Brexit, a no-deal Brexit, a WTO Brexit, from actually delivering that. Wouldn't you then be stopping Brexit from happening rather than making it happen?
Well, we can all speculate as to what will and won't happen. I actually have to say to you that I think it's unlikely that the Conservatives will choose a leader that will take a decisive course of action. There were two names that you just mentioned there, Boris Johnson and Dominic Raab. Don't forget, both of those, in the end, despite everything they said and written, voted for the new European treaty. No one knows, but I suspect the Conservative Party hasn't got the courage to do the right thing, and that means the Brexit Party's job must continue.
OK, in the likelihood of a general election that does happen in the next, say, year, many of the pollsters are predicting a hung parliament. Who would you rather work with, whoever's leader of the Tory party or Jeremy Corbyn?
Oh, that's irrelevant. What matters is, are we going to get the big constitutional change, of getting back to being an independent, self-governing nation. That is what really matters. It's the issue of our day. It's about democracy. It's about what kind of country it is. It's about the way the rest of the world sees us. Delivering Brexit, giving us a completely fresh start in politics. That is what I want to see. I've campaigned for it for 25 years, and the reason I'm back today doing what I'm doing is because, frankly, we've been betrayed by our career political class.
Well, a lot of people might say, and I've certainly heard this criticism made of you, that actually people like you wanted Brexit, you campaigned for it, you got the vote, and then you exited the scene, went off and made a load of money on Fox News or wherever, and actually you didn't stay and help deliver Brexit. What would you say to that?
No. I volunteered my services. To the government. I said, look, you can use me. I can go around Europe. I can go to Bavaria. I can go to regions of France. I can make clear to companies that are exporting a lot of goods to the UK that what we want is a simple trade deal, no bad feeling, just a proper separation. But of course, the government didn't want to use me. I had no further role to play.
OK, but what about those who also say, look, this is just about your ego. This is about stroking the Nigel Farage ego rather than actually delivering a policy.
I'm quite happy. Look, I was in semi-retirement. I was quite happy there. I didn't need to come back and do this. I only did it because the government and Parliament have made a total mess of it. And I believe if we leave the Labour and Conservative parties to deal with this, we will never get the Brexit that we voted for. So I've come back to do a job. I didn't need to.
OK, so if you're going to be standing in the general election, moving on from these European elections, and you're already polling ahead of the Tories in their general election, again, these are snapshots. You can't necessarily read as much into them, certainly when they are maybe years away. You're going to have to publish a manifesto. Is it seriously reasonable to ask voters to actually put their faith in you, put their faith into your party and vote for your party when we don't really know what you stand for as a party other than Brexit? You've got a very wide coalition. You've got people from the far left, you've got the likes of Claire Fox, you've got people very much from the right standing, and you're going to bring that coalition together. How on earth are we supposed to predict what for instance, your immigration policy would be, your NHS policy, your schools policy?
We're fighting a European election in 10 days' time, a European election on European issues in the wake of the greatest ever vote in the history of our nation, and I am not going to discuss domestic policies between now and next Thursday. This is a deliberate tactic being used by everybody else because they want to get away from having a proper debate about the extent to which our Brexit vote and the promises made to us in a general election have been betrayed, the extent to which we've been let down, the extent to which we've been humiliated. Thereafter, of course, we'll talk about policies, but, and I have to emphasise this, I will never, ever use that word manifesto. I think in most people's word association, manifesto equals lie.
You talked about this being a revolution in British politics. Now, undoubtedly, your party has raised a huge amount of money, more than £2 million from individual party members joining up in the tens of thousands, £25 a go. But you've also got some very big donors. Obviously, we don't get to see the names of those until they have to be published after the election. Same with the other parties. But you've got former Tory donor Jeremy Hosking. He said he's given you £200,000. Others, we believe, have given you figures something close to that. Why don't you reveal who those people are? And are you not concerned that you'll be seen as, well, not a revolutionary, but someone beholden to the big money men?
We've just given you the name, Jeremy Hosking. He's our big donor.
I thought you had another donor. He gave 100,000.
No, that was him. He gave 100, then he gave another 100. And let's see, we're in talks with lots and lots of other people. But the real story here is that we've been funding this through our website. People are giving their £25. They're subscribing to the Brexit Party because they believe in it. And I can't think of a time when any political party has managed to raise money from the grassroots in the way that we've done.
You were very cross with your interview with Andrew Marr at the weekend. He was asking you about things like your comments in the past about the NHS, about Vladimir Putin, about other things. Isn't it perfectly fair for an interviewer to ask you about views that you've expressed in the past, if you might possibly, on current polling, could be in the running to be our future Prime Minister?
We are fighting a European election. It is perfectly clear that the BBC, for which we're all charged a tax of £150 a year, have had no interest in dealing with this election fairly. In fact, until this week, nobody from the Brexit Party had appeared on any major BBC programme. And as I travel around the country day after day, and I'm heading north as we speak, and we've been holding big rallies all over the country, those rallies, the events, the candidates that have stood for us have attracted an awful lot of debate and comment, some in favour, some against. What I never see at these events are the BBC. They have literally denied our existence from day one. And when we get onto a major interview, they don't want to talk about this campaign. They don't want to talk about our candidates. They don't want to challenge, Brexit and the way in which we want to do it. All they want to do is drag up a series of comments, some made as long as 10 years ago, in many cases hopelessly out of context. And that, to me, is a failure of public service broadcasting. There is a very big difference between me talking to you, you are a commercial radio station, and the BBC, which has a public service role.
Just finally, just looking a little further ahead than the European elections, early June, Donald Trump, the American president, is going to be visiting the UK for a few days. Now, you called yourself a friend, certainly a big fan, a supporter of Donald Trump. Now so many of his closest associates have ended up in prison. Is that really a club you want to be in?
Well, one or two have, yes.
Not one or two, quite a lot more than that.
Well, I think the Clintons could claim an even higher number, actually. Look, whoever Donald Trump has done business with in previous years isn't really the point. The point is this. Unlike British politics, he made a series of promises to the American people, and he is rigorously sticking to those promises. It's called democracy. You make an offer to the electorate, you carry it out, and at the end of the term, in his case next November, they judge you. In this country, we have two parties who at every election put up these so-called manifestos and then do the opposite. I think what Trump is doing, like him or not, like his entourage or not, what he is doing actually is restoring some faith in the whole democratic process. And
are you likely to meet him when he comes on his visit next month? And will you be asking him to endorse you? And would that help you in any future elections?
No. The answer to the second question is no. The last time he came to the UK, one of the government's red lines is that he wasn't to meet me. And when you think about that, not only do I know him well, but I know many of the senior ministers, people in the administration very well. You would have thought if the British government was acting in the national interest, they might try to use me constructively. But of course, Theresa May doesn't think about the national interest. All she cares about is her Conservative Party.
OK, Nigel Farage, leader of the Brexit Party, thank you very much for speaking to us. Of course, Nigel Farage is the leader of the Brexit Party. He's also a candidate for them in the south east of England. Also standing in the south east region are representatives from Change UK, the Conservatives, the Labour Party, the Green Party, the Liberal Democrats, UKIP, the Socialist Party of Great Britain, the UK European Union Party, and the following independents: Jason McMahon, David Rand and Michael Turberville. For a full list of every candidate standing in the European elections, just visit our website, talkradio.co.uk.